is if you treat him in equal terms or not. If you are successful in treating everyone in equal terms with you, that is, if you have only a hearty way of doing things and other methods eliminated from your very nature, whatever conversation you conduct with the patient will heal him. Because your voice, the sound of your voice is enough to heal him. And we have the advantage of meaning and sound also in our conversation. You can use both with equal mastery. You can introduce such subjects as the meaning of your conversation that they induce hope automatically in the patient and rouse the self-confidence of the patient and set it again in action. At the same time, the sounds of your conversation working upon his nervous system and the cerebrospinal system. You can use colors. If you can give a harmonious color painting in a hall and make the patient spend his time in the hall, then it begins to heal. This is what was done in the ancient temples of many nations. You know, a sacred science called Tantra, which is unfortunately most misunderstood in a beastly way by the Occident. It contains all the secret keys of how to use the meaning and the sound in a harmonious way, making it a mantram. When you harmonize the sound and the meaning, whatever you speak will be a mantram for healing. Do you know that there are no special mantrams? What the mantrams are in the tantric books are only examples worked out, given to you for use. You can make a mantram of any sound you want, just as the musician makes music of any sounds he combines. It is necessary that he should be a musician. So if you are a musician in mind, your conversations can be used as mantrams. And the tantric texts teach us how to do it. And use color. It is called the five-fold keyboard. Color to the eye, sound to the ear, smell to the nose. That is using the perfumes and cosmetics in the tantric science. Taste, using the taste of the food for healing. Using the touch of the healthy wife to a husband or a healthy husband to a wife. When this is used for healing, it is one aspect of the science of Tantra. When this is used for yogic awakening, it is the main aspect of Tantric science. But Tantra is not yoga of sex, as some beasts in the Occident understand it. It is very unfortunate for them to understand such a great science in such low and mean terms. Let them study this science carefully from beginning to end, and let them understand it not piecemeal but in total. The total keyboard of this five-fold aspect is given in the science of Tantra. A proper use for yogic awakening as well as healing is given in the Tantric texts. So all these things can be used. You can select perfumes and herbs to give incense for healing, or make some perfume in the hall, of which fire rituals form a part. That is, you are given the formula of mixing herbs having good perfumes. For example, camphor, sandalwood, and a herb called Ocimum sanctum and Ficus religiosa. Like this, there are many herbs that are compounded and used according to the ailment the fellow has. So, change the atmosphere of the hall and use all these methods for healing, and then the mind also can be used. That is, when you know all these things, automatically your mind will be healing the fellow. And a little care should be taken about what is called the law of compatibilities. Sometimes you will be surprised to know that a patient is worse by using the same medicines by one doctor, while he begins to improve with the same medicines in the hands of another doctor. This is what is called the law of compatibilities. There is something which is agreeable between two persons and disagreeable between two persons. This exists as long as you are on the mental plane. This disappears the moment you practice universalism and universal love. But we can't expect all people to practice universal love, and the result is there are some doctors which have the magnetism of universal love, whereas some who are commercial fellows do not have it. And when such commercial fellows are treating a sick person, if their magnetism is compatible with the magnetism of the patient, it is okay. If not, the patient gets worse with the best medicines. This also should be taken into account, and we should observe how the patient feels with our presence. If he feels that you should be with him for some time more, that means your presence is agreeable. But if he feels uncomfortable in your presence, understand you are not compatible with the patient. Don't feel any complex. Let some other healer do the same thing which you do. And if you know the fundamentals of astrology, if you can have a birth chart of the healer and the healed, you can very easily avoid such undesirable presences. Suppose in the horoscope of a patient, Saturn is in Aries 12 degrees, and if a healer comes to him in whose horoscope Uranus is in 12 degrees, Aries, if this doctor or healer spends 5 minutes with the patient, from that day onwards his disease accelerates. No doubt it is a purifying process, but sometimes the patient dies in the purifying process.
Il pourrait advenir que le patient meure lors de ce processus de purification.
Instead of having this, if the doctor withdraws from the patient and sends another healer or doctor to him who is having Jupiter in Aquarius 12, having a sextile aspect between the birth Saturn of the patient and the birth Jupiter of the healer, then the patient feels comfortable within 2 minutes and says, "Doctor, you stay here for 2 minutes more. I want to narrate my history to you." And after the doctor or the healer goes away, then the patient begins to feel better day by day. You take notice of this aspect also. Even the best healing with best intentions sometimes harms the patient if we do not take a notice of it. And finally, once again I repeat that it is your self-confidence that heals and your power of love that heals and your spirit of service that heals. This is not only my conviction but my experience with not less than at least 100 healers working under me in India. And also, don't believe that you are healing, and the more you believe that you are healing, the more energy flows away from you and you will be sick. Understand that healing is done through you. And the best thing to remember about healing is that healing magnetism goes to the patient through you. From the sun through you into the patient. You can heal hundreds of patients every day without yourself going into sickness. So, not by the healer, but through the healer, the patient is healed. This is what Jesus Christ called, in the name of the Lord. We should know the meaning of it. And another thing is, if you believe that the diseases of the patient will be transferred to you, stop healing, don't be a healer, because you are believing something which is against the law of nature. The truth is, the more you heal, the more you are healed. If you believe in this, begin healing. Otherwise, it is highly dangerous to you to heal. Thank you all. Any relevant questions or? Will you please repeat the question in English one?
Well, I wish to know if a congenital disease could be catched by the body of by the child in his mind during the pregnancy.
Yes, I'll tell you. We know him after birth. There is his career during pregnancy, and there is his career before fertilization, and there is his career in his previous body. Here, he makes the seed of the congenital disease on his mental and etheric bodies, by which he is attracted to the fit parents who have the susceptibility to such a congenital disease, according to the law of magnetism and polarities. And the imprint of the disease on his etheric body produces such a heart and the tissues of the heart in the mother's womb. No, he has known what it is, but he is born to have an atonement, a penalize. This is a life for penalizing, because he penalizes himself. Only giving temporary comfort and amelioration. Neither medicine nor spiritual healing can be introduced in a drastic way to such people. You should not transfer deep and deep acting vibrations of healing into such a constitution, because automatically they make a release of the person from the physical body, and we may cause his death. So, a soothing and comfortable way of healing magnetism is what all we can give. Same thing in medicine also. No strong medicine should be used to such people. We can ameliorate and pacify the situation, because we are human beings and all things are not possible for us to do. We have our own limitations and we should not harm. We can help only as far as it is possible. That's all what we can do. Pardon?
How can we recognize such types of disease?
Through experience under a healer who is also a doctor. You should have a practical experience of patients and the way of understanding them with the help of a healer who is also a doctor. That is, the patient to fast or the healer to fast. I believe in making the patient fast according to the scientific rules of hygiene and medicine. And it should be carefully and judiciously done. And it can be done only by a doctor and a healer who knows the difference between fasting and starving, and who eliminates such methods from patients of heart palpitation, etc. So he should have a judicious way of doing things. When done like this, it is as effective as any one of the other methods, and it can also be used with the other methods, sometimes more safely and more effectively than medication. And about the fasting of the healer, I don't find much reason in doing it, because the level of the healer is already there by the time the patient has come to him, and the efficiency and the moral level of the healer will not overnight be raised by his fasting. No, it is a matter of practical training and application, because except the 7 colors, the shades cannot be mentioned and transferred from one person to another person. And unless we have the colors with us, I cannot transfer my concept of color to you. But roughly speaking, rose color can heal all and everyone, and certain shades of blue, when properly recognized and used, will heal many people. But it is better to undergo training personally instead of knowing the names of colors, because color concept cannot be transferred from mind to mind through the name of the color. It's very difficult. There is a third color which I say honey color, but if we remember the fact that one type of honey differs in its color from another type, we cannot speak with the required amount of precision about colors. It is only a practical training under a guide which can help us. It is highly efficient, and there is no doubt about its efficiency. Even there, the training should be personal. It is only to have a name key for each color, that's all. It takes a very, very short time, about 2-3 months. After you know the name key, you can develop the faculty of healing by yourself. The whole difficulty lies in transferring the concept of the color, that's all.
Distance.
Yes, you can induce the presence of the person who is represented by the photograph. Then only you can heal. So, there should be an efficient medium to heal through photographs, because the photograph is not a living medium. Suppose we place the photograph of my master in a hall where there are strangers and who do not know my master. It makes no significance upon their mind, and the result is it makes no influence. But a person like me who knows him and who believes in him exists with the photo. I can induce the healing magnetism of my master and heal it. So it depends upon the person who brings the photograph to you, and he forms the medium between the person in the photo and the patient. When it is done by a proper medium, it is most successfully done. But if we believe that only the presence of photograph heals, it is not correct.
Our etheric body,
Yes.
that part of us which is etheric, has it a certain sense around us? Because some people are telling that we have a two-kind energy. The one inside of us turns in one sense, the one outside turns into other sense. And that when somebody is near to death, his aura is very, very small.
Yes.
And it's said that immediately that the aura is not there, with his counter turn, the outside energy can get out, and that's the death. Bon, je vais poser directement en français toute seule. Je demandais si notre corps éthérique tournait dans un sens et notre énergie intérieure dans une autre. C'est quelque chose que j'ai entendu dire. Et il semblerait que quand quelqu'un est prêt à mourir, soit de vieillesse, soit par maladie, son fil aurique extérieur est très faible et que dès qu'il s'éteint extérieurement, son énergie intérieure peut s'échapper, ce qui cause la mort.
Exactly, that is true.
Oui, c'est juste.
But the cause of such a danger is the auto-suggestion caused by believing in two different types of energy, whereas the same energy is serving in 1,000 different forms, outside and inside. If I believe that this space in this hall belongs to this hall, and the space outside is different from the space in this hall, it is only an auto-suggestion, because there is only one space where this hall was built, and this space in the hall was also there before the hall was built. So the fact that we built the house and we are in the hall sometimes gives us the auto-suggestion that the space in the hall is different. So it is also the same thing with the two types of energy in the constitution. For those who have confidence in the omnipresence of the One, this problem never exists. Even to the healer or to the patient. For the healer, it is the same as the principles of diet for a yoga practitioner. And for the patient, the healer should decide according to the situation. And generally speaking, the dietetic principles of hygiene and health generally hold good to all people, but even diet cannot be uniformly prescribed the same thing to all. According to the nature of the disease and the stage of the patient, we should prescribe diet then and there. So it's not so very useful to establish some rules uniformly to all. For example, a person suffering from indigestion requires a different diet who is suffering from too much of appetite and malnutrition. Suppose one person is suffering from lack of appetite, another person is suffering from too much of appetite and emaciation. The two fellows require a different type of diet selection. The first fellow should be made to fast, first of all. The second fellow should be made nutritious of valuable foods. So it all depends upon the stage of the patient. It all depends upon what result we aim at. If life-saving were to be the consideration, it's not at all a mistake to give blood transfusion. I don't find any objection in giving a transfusion of blood when it is absolutely necessary and life-saving to save a life. Yes, as far as we can understand, it is the same with the doctor or the healer. He is only instrumental of what is to happen there. Even the most efficient doctor is only an instrument of what is to happen to the patient. So it is only the sincerity and the wholeheartedness of the healer that counts, whether life can be saved or not. Beyond that, the healer or the doctor is not the fate maker of the patient. With all humility, one can do what he believes best. There ends the duty of a good, sincere human being. Let it be a healer or a doctor. If you are convinced that life can be saved back, it is good to apply such methods. But when once we are convinced that life cannot be saved, it is too cruel for us to make the life prolong in that body. We should try neither to kill him nor to prolong the life. That is my personal belief about it.